Hey, it's Patrick. So why did I buy a 2017 second gen iPad Pro in 2023? The iPad's actually right back here, and I bought it in October of 2022, but it was still 5 years old when I bought it. And so why would I want to do that? Basically, it's because I wanted to have a larger iPad to draw on. But if you looked at the prices of the latest M2 iPad Pros that are the 12.9 inch size, you can get well over $1,000 really quickly. And I don't need an iPad to do a ton of stuff. I just wanted a big screen iPad, and I wanted to be able to run Rough Animator basically, and maybe a couple of other programs. But if it's powerful enough to run that program, then I would be happy with it. So I started actually looking into buying used iPads. But before I go into that, I just want to give you a quick history on myself with iPads. I bought the original iPad Pro, the 12.9 inch version, when they came out in 2015. And if you remember, that was the first iPad with pencil support. And I was really excited to get it. And before that, I had bought the very original iPad that came out in 2010. Now, though obviously those didn't have pencil support back then, but I was very excited at the idea of having a tablet that I could draw and animate with. But it turns out that kind of really didn't happen for many years later. And even with the 2015 iPad Pro that I bought, after a year's worth of using it, I ended up actually selling it. And it was partly because there wasn't really the animation or drawing softwares available at the time that I wanted for my workflow. I actually used the money from that sale of that original 12.9 inch iPad to buy my first XP Pen tablet that I'm actually still using today. And a couple years later in 2018, I bought the regular 6th gen iPad because Apple had announced pencil support for it. So I thought, maybe I'll give the iPad another try. Even though it wasn't the big iPad, it was the base cheap level iPad. It was like $300 or something, plus another $100 for the pencil. And I did use that for animation for a few years, but over time the screen size just, I wanted a bigger screen size. So that kind of brings me to today, where I knew I needed a bigger screen for animating on my iPad. And specifically, Rough Animator is my animation software of choice right now, and I wanted to try it out on the larger iPad screen. But those 12.9 inch iPads are expensive if you're getting them new. So that basically started my searching into buying a used iPad. If you're not aware, I actually animated all 45 minutes of Traveling Gringos on a used computer. So, just because you buy something used doesn't mean that it can't still be usable. I actually made a video about that device. I'll link that up in the description below. Now, I already had a first gen Apple Pencil that I bought for my 2018 iPad, so I didn't need to buy a new pencil. And I actually had a case for it that I kind of found by accident that I bought really cheap, and I thought, maybe one day I'll buy a bigger iPad and I'll be able to use this case. So I didn't need a pencil and I didn't need a case. I just needed an iPad. So I went on swappa.com and started searching around. And the third thing I wanted was a lot of storage. My 2018 iPad only has 32 gigs of storage, which really isn't enough to hold too much. And so I had 256 gigs in my mind as the amount that I wanted on my next iPad. Now, if you go on Apple right now and you look up the specs of a brand new M2 iPad Pro with 12.9 inch screen, just the entry level model, but you bump that up to 256 gigs of storage, and you buy yourself the second gen Apple Pencil, and you're pretty much over $1,400 after taxes. So think about that, $1,400 just so I could get a larger iPad to animate on. And so I went on swappa.com and I bought myself a used 2017 iPad Pro for $300. So I literally saved myself over $1,100 by going with the used option. And you're thinking, well, yeah, but you bought like a 5 or 6 year old iPad. And that's true. But that iPad still runs the latest version of iPad OS. The current version as of today is 16.3.1, and I've got that installed on that iPad right back there. So it runs the latest software, and it's got 256 gigs of storage. So I've got all my music and a bunch of videos and more storage than I'll probably ever fill that iPad with. So what are the downsides? Well, the battery's not as strong as a brand new battery, but it still has way more than enough to get me through a day. And if I'm out on, the hammock animating on it, the battery will last longer than I will. And maybe you're thinking, oh yeah, but that's the old iPad with the home button. I actually like using the home button. I still got an iPhone that uses the home button. So that doesn't bother me at all. And this iPad runs Rough Animator just fine. I'm sure whoever sold me this iPad was thinking it was at the end of its life and didn't have much use for it anymore. But I use this thing every day, and I'm more than happy with it. So the next time you're in need of some new equipment, maybe consider buying it used. Well, that's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching, and keep on animating.